Well, the production of the Lincoln cent is finally coming to an end. Should you start hoarding them? Hey collectors, thanks for watching. I'm the collector of coins, and that's right, it is finally time. The federal government has announced that they're no longer going to produce Lincoln cents. They're just going to exhaust their stockpile of blank planchets, and then once those blank planchets are done, they'll stop making Lincoln cents. Because it costs almost 4 cents to make a Lincoln cent. And they're made of a composite metal, mostly of zinc. Back in the day, Lincoln cents prior to 1982 were all copper and are worth at least 2 to 3 cents each based on their copper value. So the big question is, should you start hoarding them? Here's what I think about that. So as you can see behind me, this is a large stockpile of old Lincoln cents. We have a few memorial cents, and we have a lot of rolls here, but mostly in this pile are wheat cents. And that's the one thing that I do recommend that most people collect. Now, granted, these here on my mat are the key dates and semi-key dates that have value, worth more than 3 or 4 cents a penny. Some of them could be worth even hundreds. And then likewise, some of the Lincoln era varieties are worth looking for and saving. So if you want to get my coin roll hunting mat, there's a link down below in the description. That mat will help you identify Lincoln cents that are really worth holding on to. Now, a lot of people love stockpiling wheat cents. They're just incredibly popular. In fact, I know a lot of collectors who look to collect an entire roll of the same date. And while I don't think there's anything wrong in that, I don't think there's going to be tremendous boom in value because it's generally driven by the copper price. Condition like those uncirculated ones will drive a little more value, but generally speaking, old pennies like Indian cents and including some of the old Lincoln cents, the wheat cents, what you really want to be looking for are those key and semi-key dates: 1909S, 1910S, 11S, 12S, 13S. And what does the S stand for on the cent? San Francisco. We have a number of mints that produce coins. The most dominant mint is the Philadelphia mint. All right, so what you want to look for are coins like this one with the Denver mint mark with D, or the San Francisco mint mark, which is an S. And a lot of people react about, ooh, I found an old penny with no mint mark. Well, guys, hate to break it to you, but generally speaking, they're not worth much. They're worth a few cents, unless they're perfect and uncirculated condition. The one that you see behind me, highly circulated, the date's barely legible. No mint mark pennies means that they're just minted in the Philadelphia mint. We do not put mint marks on coins minted out of Philadelphia when we're talking about the Lincoln cents. And there may be one exception, which was in the 2000s. And at that point, our pennies were made out of zinc. So guys, please, if you're a novice collector, if you come across a lot of pennies and you're excited because you don't see a mint mark, I think what you're basically reacting to is deceptive sales practices on eBay. There are a lot of people who post 1919S or 1919 no mint mark pennies for thousands of dollars, and frankly, they're not worth thousands of dollars. They're just worth 2 to 3 cents in copper. The ones that you really want to look for are between 1909 to 1916, I would say even earlier, like 1914 specifically, in that range, S and D, San Francisco and Denver. I have a lot of people who come to me also asking about, should I start hoarding 2025 pennies? I'll just share my perspective. It's just a lot of buzz. There are millions and millions and millions of blank planchets still in the stockpiles, and maybe they're anticipating by the end of 2026 running out of them. But guys, we produce billions of pennies each year. Now the penny is going to remain legal tender, which means you can still spend it. But I do think what most people are going to do is hoard them. And I would recommend only holding on to pennies minted before 1959. Those are the wheat cents. Those are most popular. Sure, anything between 1959 to 1981 and some coins in 82, but I'll talk about that in a minute because it can be a little more complicated. The general rule is 1959 to 1981 is copper, 90% copper, and they do have copper value. And you can take a look in kitco.com for the price of bullion. Copper bullion right now, I think you're looking at a few cents per penny. Now, why do we say it almost costs 4 cents to mint a penny when the copper value, which isn't in pennies anymore, is only worth about 3 cents a penny? It's because of the manufacturing overhead. The U.S. Mint has to employ people. They have quality control. They have to run electricity. They have to wrap the coins. They have to maintain the equipment that does the minting press. And so all in with the metal content and the blank planchlets and the production where they have to create the new dies each year, it costs almost 4 cents to produce the penny. Canada stopped producing their pennies a couple years ago, maybe about a decade ago. I don't remember the exact data. I could look that up. I'm sure most of you can Google that as well. And it was very successful. In fact, I would say that if I was going to give advice to people collecting pennies, really collect the key dates and semi-key dates, unless you're just putting together an album, you want one of each date. Focus on wheat cents and hoard them if you want. However, anything produced after 2009 is just not really worth it, in my opinion. Billions were produced. There's nothing rare about them unless you come across an error coin like the 2023 VDBV, cent. These errors that you see in the mat are really what you want to look for. Errors in varieties, key dates, and semi-key dates. And as you can see, there are a few. General rule of thumb with the Lincoln cents, anything before 1940 with a D or an S, you want to take a look at. Now, not all of them are going to be key date or semi-key dates, but the likelihood of having something worth significantly more than a penny between 1909 and 1939 D and S is going to be higher. And those I would hold on to. And then I would pick up the Red Book, which is the U.S., it's the guidebook of U.S. coins. It's what every collector should have. Gives you a sense as to what the value of the coin is. It's really the retail price the coin dealer will sell it for. And you can see here, I rolled up a whole bunch of pennies. I went through that massive hoard from a collection, and I rolled them up, mixed dates to resell for a few dollars a roll. These that you see behind me are the ones that have more value because they're key date and semi-key dates, which means they're very low mintage, they're hard to come by, and they command a premium price. So guys, I would not recommend hoarding pennies minted after 2010. And if you are going to collect wheat cents, get an album and try to get one of each date. And if you want to do it from an investment perspective, look for the key date and semi-key dates that are on my coin roll hunting mat. Now, 1982. So I said we should talk about that. So in 1982, the U.S. government produced part of the year with copper in the cents, and the other half of the year was zinc. That's when we did the first conversion to the zinc cent. So we had done this, or attempted to do this in 1973, and I have a video about the aluminum Lincoln cent that's illegal to own. In any event, guys, focus on wheat cents, focus on key date and semi-key dates and varieties like this very interesting error. Not worth a huge amount more, but certainly worth more than a few cents. Definitely cool to have. But again, I want to say to you guys, I appreciate you watching, and I hope this information was helpful. And while it's sad that the Lincoln cent is going away, they're going to still be in circulation for many, many years. All right, happy collecting.